Another excellent performance from the defense. And it's not hyperbole to say the Jets have one of the best defenses in the NFL. They do, flat out. They absolutely do. Their defensive line, again, 5 sacks on Josh Allen, was getting constant pressure. You have two crucial sack plays from the two guys that we highlighted on this very show last week, talking about Jacob Martin getting traded. And Jermaine Johnson with a sack on first down in the fourth quarter to force the Bills into a punt, knock them out of any hope of a field goal range. And on the very next drive, the Jets go down the field from their own 5, kick the game-winning field goal. And on the next drive after that, you have a first down sack from Bryce Huff that ends up being a sack fumble where the ball rolls 9 yards extra backwards, and you get set up with like a 2nd and 19 with the Bills trying to ice the game with a tying field goal backed up in their own end zone. Awesome. Quinnen Williams beats Mitch Morse, who's one of the best centers in the NFL and had gone 16 straight games without giving up a sack before this one. Beats Mitch Morse for a sack on Josh Allen. He's up to 7 for the year. That's tied for a career high. It's week 9. This, you can even further. Sauce Gardner gets an interception. His second
Didn't even get to the secondary yet.
You're like, I haven't even got to the secondary yet. Sauce Gardner gets an interception. Jordan Whitehead gets an interception after the Bills get a 42-yard pass play to open the game, and a terrible kick from Braden Mann sets them up at midfield. Jordan Whitehead gets an interception, take them out of field goal range, knock any points off the board, and keep the game at 0-0. Sauce Gardner gets an interception after Zach Wilson's sack fumble and recovery by Von Miller. Takes away any points after that turnover. Jordan Whitehead should have had a second interception that he dropped over the middle later in the game in the red zone that ended, I think, with the Bills holding to a field goal and probably could have had points taken away. And oh, by the way, CJ Mosley's decleating people.
Oh my, yes.
And oh, by the way, CJ Mosley is becoming a lot better in coverage in year 2 under Robert Saleh than he was in year 1 under Robert Saleh. And he's knocking the snot out of people. This defense, every single player on this defense is, if not excelling, is at the very least playing well, and the most of their core contributors are outright thriving. And that's incredible to see after what we saw last year. The turnaround, you want to talk about night and day from Zach Wilson a week ago to Zach Wilson this week. Look at the Jets against the Buffalo Bills defense in 2020, or the Jets defense against the Buffalo Bills in 2021 versus the Jets defense against the Buffalo Bills in 2022.
Yeah, it is absolutely night and day. They were pretty much bullies last year throwing against the secondary. We couldn't catch a break, and Diggs just looked absolutely unstoppable. And Diggs got his targets. He had his catches, but he didn't run away with the game. He didn't take over the game. Our defensive backs held their own, more than held their own, especially DJ Reed and Sauce. DJ Reed with that diving pass breakup, which would have been a walk-in touchdown if he didn't have that catch-up speed. Yep. And then you have your Sauce to ice the game at the end. Bills fans will cry about being defensive pass interference. I could make the argument that it was offensive pass interference. Can
I just go in on that really quick?
Please do.
Okay. Under sky and God's green earth and in any universe that exists was that pass interference. That was perfect coverage from Sauce Gardner. There wasn't an ounce of grabbing. His hands are wide open. He's not even clenching or closing his hands. You can't say he's grabbing if he's got his fingers extended. He's got his hand on the back. He's not grabbing. He's got his arm in between and he's playing through the hands, and they're fighting for the ball. He's in inside leverage with good position. He's got his head turned and he's playing for it. Gabe Davis is running down the field with him and he's going to play for it as well. He's not hitting him. He's not grabbing him. He's not holding his arm. He's not doing anything that would be anything that you could call pass interference. He's literally only doing the only thing he can, which is run with him, make sure that he's positioning himself right and trying to play the ball and play through the hands, which he does. It was perfect coverage. It just, people are going to cry PI because Sauce blanketed him.
Yeah. I mean, if face guarding was still a rule, then maybe you have a case, but it's not. So it just was not. No, it wasn't. And to go back to CJ Mosley, and I think one of the best plays was the play that he actually gave up a reception, where you see his eyes following the play, and then he sees the bobble to Cook, and he makes this diving play, and he would have come away with an interception if it wasn't for a miraculous circus catch by Cook after that. But his range and his instincts in coverage just seems to have really stepped up a notch. And yeah, the defensive line is just playing lights out again, and seeing this group really come together. I remember in the beginning of the year where we weren't getting as much pressure as we would hope, and we were kind of wondering, oh, is this defensive line really worth all the hype that we put into it preseason, all the money that's put into it, all the money that's expected to be put into it? And they're really playing up to their potential the last couple of games, if not the last like 5 games, I would say.
Yeah.
It seems like
It's been basically since the Cincinnati game. After
Since
Quinnen
Cincinnati,
Williams
yeah.
yelled at Aaron Whitecott and the defensive line coach, after that, they've been balling.
Yeah, and they barely. I don't think we've seen a game where they really emphasize rushing more than 4 rushers either. Every so often they'll throw in a blitzer, but it's really rare. So the fact that they have that trust in their defensive line to get the pressure that they need and also hold their own against the run really shows that this defensive line is as good as we hope that they would be. And there's a lot of complaints about the rotation of defensive line players, but then you also have to see the fruits of that with Huff coming in off with the limited snaps, but also coming in with fire and having game-changing plays. Same with JJ. All these guys are contributing. It's really a shame that Rankins might be out for a considerable amount of time. So we're going to need to shore up the interior a little bit. But we still have depth there too. So it's all roses right now.
Yeah, no, it really is. They've been fantastic. And especially the defensive line, like you said, there has not been a unit that has been as consistently dominant. Maybe the secondary, I would say, but I think even the secondary, if you include the safeties, has had some ups and some downs. The front four has been on point about as well as you could hope for. And it really starts with the defensive ends and the defensive tackles. The guys that we spent our highest money and draft picks into, Quinnen Williams, playing like an all-pro. Carl Lawson comes back from his Achilles, getting good pressure. JFM's having a good year. I put me on record as someone that didn't like the JFM contract before or was worried that he might lose some snaps to Jermaine. He's playing well. I'm not going to sit here and say anything against it. He's contributing. Michael Clemens is a 4th-round pick as a rookie, getting in on snaps. And Jermaine Johnson, the tape is translating. This was his lone sack that he had. I think he had a really good pressure earlier in the game where he might have had a half sack, if I'm remembering correctly. But he had his lone full sack. It's a bootleg to the right from the Bills. He's getting blocked by the tight end, and Dawson knocks off the snap on like a fake block, then release. And he absolutely throws Dawson Knox out of his way and just uses his speed and pursuit and chases down Josh Allen. Like that is Matt, I know for a fact I've sent you clips of Jermaine at FSU last March of him doing exactly that.
Yep.
Of him quite literally tossing a tight end out of the way and then chasing someone down to the edge with his pursuit speed and his motor. And no one gets away from him when he turns it on. We've seen the flashes.
That this was Allen, though.
Right. Yeah. Well, arguably the hardest to sack quarterback in the league in Josh Allen, who eats defenses for breakfast when he's on the run most games, and he gets him by the ankles and makes sure to bring him down. I'm really, really glad he's back. I'm really glad it looks like he's just as good as he was and he hasn't lost anything from his time out. And we have to give Bryce Huff his flowers again.
Mm-hmm.
Game sealing play. He's absolutely iced the game with that sack fumble. And this was a play for Bryce Huff where especially me, I've lauded his speed and his bend around the edge. This was all about hand use, where he gets a good jump off the snap, but it's not a great one. And he just pulls off a textbook stab rip move where he gets his inside arm in the chest of the offensive tackle. He gets his outside arm up and under, and he rips under, and he's able to get right around and get free. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. He gets the sack fumble on Allen, and they're able to pin them back even further. this defense is going to carry this team and keep them in a lot of games this year. And like we've seen now in a handful of contests, if the offense can just do enough to keep them fighting and not outright lose the game, and that everything can become equal and it becomes a war at the line of scrimmage, the Jets defense is going to win them more games than they're going to lose them.
I think a large part of the success also has to do with the health of this defense. We pretty much have all our starters healthy right now.
It's a big part.
That's a huge part.
Minus Rankins now.
Minus Rankins, but yes. It's so that I got a little worried when CJ went out, and then you had that one play where somebody got thrown into the Quinnen on the sideline, and my heart stopped a little there.
My heart completely stopped. I had to be resuscitated after that one.
So the fact that these guys are staying healthy, that's a huge, huge contribution to these guys succeeding right now. Being able to get this entire season full of snaps under their belt and trusting each other. And just like the offensive line, you put these guys together and work together nonstop with time, and they're gonna figure out how to work together very well. So that's that. I feel like that's a huge portion to the why they're playing so well. So hopefully they can keep it up. This bye week's is coming at a great time. These guys can rest, get those bumps and bruises treated, and we get to come out of the bye fresh and ready to hunt some more.